totally playing my song, and I'm here working a day job.
I don't know this because I think now, does it say inspired by or something? There was some sort of agreement, like they gave him some money, and because it was pursued in the last 20 years, and they gave him some, and I think it now says inspired by is like the credit. It's not a co-write. Like they wrote him a check and acknowledge him, but he doesn't own any of the publishing or get around.
That is just. I mean, I could see that for what happened with Stairway to Heaven, with that argument. But that other song is like it's a complete cover, a complete taking.
No, it's not. It is. You actually really compare the two, like it's the riff, the lyrics are different, the chorus is the same. They're obviously their arrangement's a lot heavier and so it's a cover. I mean, there's kind of no way, and they changed the lyrics, so arguably it's a derivative work, and he has even more grounds for suing. Yeah, because you could do cover without permission, but you can't rewrite someone's song without their permission. No.
I don't know. I'm sorry to get off on that, but it's been bugging at me for a while.
But it wasn't a time where, like, I mean, now if you think about it, you know how many bands would do like the Ruddles would be sued all over the place, right? Because there's so many. But I'm saying if Marvin Gaye estate can win from Blurred Lines, the Ruddles, it's like, oh, you can't even call, like, sorry, it's not parody, you're actually ripping it off. Or the Knack could be sued, or you know what I mean? It's like,
but I'm going,
but like George Harrison gets sued in almost immediately. He puts out My Sweet Lord, and he's sued in '74. Like, you know, like it's. Why aren't these guys? If it's, you know, so clearly it's not unheard of. So even if it didn't happen in '72, by the time George Harrison gets sued, why aren't they just going right? Like,
right, yeah, that's what I mean.
The Chiffons got ripped off.
No. See, the Chiffons did not get ripped off.
Okay, fine. Correct the story.
Alan Klein was engaged, right? What does how does Alan Klein can't go make another record? He could friggin' sue people to make money. That's what he does for a living. So if unfortunately, if that guy had recorded for ABKCO, I guarantee you, Led Zeppelin would be, Led Zeppelin catalog now available on ABKCO.
Why? Well, so, and is that also the same thing? Like my other.
So you're telling, like, that guy, Blind Willie Crudup, whoever wrote that song, is like, he's got, like, whoever his people are alcoholics,
pushovers,
or just fumbling the ball.
Yeah,
right.
So John Lennon gets sued over Here Come on Flat Top, and.
Right, immediately.
So, immediately, right. How is that?
The guy's name is Jake Holmes, by the way, the guy who wrote Dazed and Confused.
And it's
68 or something like that.
And he recorded it. Was it? He recorded it. He recorded it. Yeah, how does that not happen where, like, Chuck Berry gets sues over one line and gets
Chuck Berry.
And in 1975, John Lennon's making a chord. So why didn't this guy, like, have his people? It's Led Zeppelin, the biggest band in the world.
That's
like
what I'm saying.
They're selling billions of records.
They're flying around in jets with their name on it.
That's you make it sound as though he has people. This is a guy who made one album, fades into obscurity. He doesn't. It's like it's almost the equivalent of like a homeless guy going and knocking on a door and going like, "Hey, I wrote that song."
But
you know what I mean?
But
obviously
record.
he could prove it.
He had to have been in a record studio. There's got to be some backing behind it. That's like, hey, I smell money.
But I know you. You keep attaching certain achievements with the fact that all of a sudden you have a lawyer that is an aggressive lawyer in your camp. This is the same type of people that you got to make a record because someone bought you a Cadillac. Cool, I'm going to make a record and they gave me a Cadillac.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean? Like, it also
why
now.
isn't the Cadillac guy after it then? Well, like, you know what I mean? The guy who wrote the check for the Cadillac. Why isn't he after that money? Or what? Or did he get?
But
the money?
That's exactly who would be after it. It would be that guy. And that guy, there was no guy. Jake no one cared enough about Jake Holmes' stuff for their to do it. You know what I mean?
Until Led Zeppelin starts selling a bajillion records,
right?
and
you're scrubbing dishes somewhere, like you just described. I'm in obscurity, and I'm struggling to pay my rent.
Why aren't there two guys in the background going like, "Morty, we're back"? You know, like,
right.
Why are you guys are trying to pretend this happened in 1995, and there's like the internet and people know shit. This is like someone who is like, oh fuck, I got ripped off, like everybody. You know what I mean?
Like, I just think that.
Fine, John.
I'm sorry, you're living in a post-Jacobian Myers world in this conversation. There was no Jacobian Myers.
Right. Do you think? I think as long as there's a lawyer, there is the Jacobian Myers factor out there of 1-800 Better Call Saul. That there was always a guy like that in the weeds waiting to take a gig to go after somebody.
You're talking about this is the exact same year where like managers were having their artists, dangled out a window to get out of contracts.
Well, I was going to bring up, do you think he went in or tried to bring it up and Peter Grant was like taking a bat up to his...
Peter Grant might have remember, Peter Grant beat the hell out of Bill Graham's roadies in 75. I'm sorry.
You just try and bring up a lawsuit and he's like, puts his 300-pound weight up to the guy. And
okay, go buy my screen, okay? It's like, come on. This is the world. Think about it. The world of Led Zeppelin at that time, where it's like, okay, well, the mastermind is a Satanist who just bought Aleister Crowley's house. Their manager is a former professional wrestler who has beat the hell out of Bill Graham's,
right, his kid or something.
For not letting his kid in the backstage area. John Bonham kid back, right? Like, you know what I mean? I wouldn't be like, I'm going to take you on, It's not like Mr. Smith goes to Washington.
You would think there's some lawyer in England that would have been like,
right. I'm still not
you got yourself,
that's too easy.
You got yourself a case.
Like somewhere,
such an
the
injustice.
Separation's got to be there where they're just like, anyway, I'm suing these guys and I'm putting the papers in.
And Peter Grant's on the other end with a bat.
Who's going to beat me up?
Peter Grant's
Morris Levy. Like, they didn't hear that story. Hey, your buddy Morris Levy just got 75,000 smackers out of Lennon for ripping off old
Right, that's what I mean, man. You would think somebody would have opened up and been like, hey, we can get...
You make it sound like everybody's in... This is Jake Holmes, who still... We had a hard time coming up with his name. Who finally got money and credit in the aughts for the song. So it wasn't I understand how outraged you are, but the guy just didn't do it for whatever reason or another. We got
to get to the bottom of this one.
Fucking Dazed and Confused is a good song. That's why that's why it comes up. Like if it was shit, we wouldn't even be talking about this.
Right.
But you're like, wow, really? Dazed and Confused, huh?
Oh, it's the center.
Like, I'm waiting for you to tell me Communication Breakdown came from, that first record's great.
Stole it from Ray Davies. There's going to be some other...
But Led Zeppelin, that first, as great as that first record is, it was immediately attacked by the critics. And
all their records were. They never got good reviews. Ever.
The whimsy of Led Zeppelin only got worse as it went along, but that first record is just crushingly great. Like they're like Vikings out there, and then later on it became like they started slaying dragons and shit like that.
Well, I think you go in with the first three records right off the bat, right? They're like Beatles-esque where it's like, boom, 6 months later, here's Zeppelin 2. 6 months later, here's Zeppelin 3. And it's just crush. Every,
It's true. Like, I remember the Zoso record just being, like, when I was a kid, you had to have it. I was pretty young, and I think I had a cousin who had it, and I wanted it. My mom was just like, this is the second copy of this record I bought. And I was like, who had it? They're like, what? And she's like, your cousin Mark wanted that, But I mean, Black Dog, I couldn't get enough of that. Just hearing that, that riff over and over and over, like, how does he do that?
Wow.
So I'm doing a little. So I'm just for the sake of argument here. So Dazed and Confused, which it says, and this is the quote from here: with new lyrics and vocal line, which right there, it's sort of the guitar line and the is kind of like the thing that really keeps that makes the song sound exactly the same. But the vocals are different, and the melody is a little different. But it says Holmes attempted to contact Jimmy Page in the 1980s regarding songwriting credit. So where the hell he was that other time? It's like
for those 20 years
exactly. And my guess is he just all of a sudden he was like, oh great, he stole one of my songs. Oh, one of my other songs is going to be massive when my career takes off, right? There's also probably that too, right? Why would I piss off Led Zeppelin when I'm about to be a huge artist too? In 2010, Holmes filed a lawsuit, and it was settled out of court with the credit on Led Zeppelin releases being changed to Jimmy Page, inspired by Jake Holmes.
Ah, that's such bullshit.
But
at least give a guy a co-writing credit.
I know. Oh, come on. Before you go all musicologist on it, actually listen to the songs back. I
did. I have heard them.
But they're not the same lyrics. They aren't the same lyrics, except for that first line, right?
If the roles were reversed.
To bring it back into the Beatles, I will say I've heard none other than Paul McCartney say, like, well, when we were kids, I wrote this thing with George, but it was really mine. But George came up with the solo or something like that. And he's just like, and so I gave him a writing credit for it, but it's just like, so it works one way if you want to argue it one way, and it works. Come on.
No, Paul never should have given him a writing credit. He didn't write a song.
Of course it's not. Like, I would agree. I would agree.
Like the drummer was not looking for...
But But like, why not give them the thing? If you're just going to flat rip off somebody's song and then just be like inspired by, like,
Right. Do you think if the roles were reversed and someone recorded a song that had just as much parallel to a Led Zeppelin song, that Peter Grant wouldn't be kicking down the door with an axe handle?
If you noticed, it never happened.
Ready to rearrange the guy's face.
You noticed it didn't happen. But if Jake Holmes was given $1 million and said, if you drop everything, I'll give you $1 million and we'll do
in 2010.
In 2010, yeah,
in 2010,
he settled. They didn't go to court, so
I know because he
agreed to it. Right? He might have gone to a lawyer, and the lawyer might have go, well, first of all, dude, it's been 40 years.
That's my original point.
The second point is, have you seen Led Zeppelin defending Stairway to Heaven, right? And how many millions of dollars have they spent on that? If you want to go mano a mano, give me, then I'll do pro bono, or I'll do, give me 80% and I'll do it. Because I'm not going to be able to make any other money for the next year.
He got the wrong lawyer. He needs Saul, to be like,
Please, Tony, if you know a lawyer that is going to do that work for nothing, please give me his phone number right now.
I know, and I'm just saying, there's got to be somebody out there who would have been yeah, we can totally do this. We'll take on the biggest, mightiest.
Exactly. Who are we going after, John? Who are we going after?
Let's find all the songs. Let's go. We'll find all the great songwriters that were ripped off, and we will get this lawyer who's the champion of the good. To defend copyright law, that goes after, anybody that ever used it, GCD, like that's my song.
So with Whole Lotta Love, does Dixon get a writing credit or any mention on there?
He gets all the credit now.
Now, but back then, how long did that take to happen?
Early 70s.
Celino and Barnes, copyright attorneys, 188-8888.
Hey, they ripped off that tune.
That's right.
No, but because think about it, right? You talk about from Run for Your Life. Why?
It's Let's Play House.
Yeah.
Right.
Why didn't a guy? Why that was almost like an honor. like at the time, it was like, oh, he's acknowledging my song. That's great. He helps promote my song. He, you know, like there's a reference to like fucking Bo Diddley. Bo Diddley should like own half of every song.
Right. But like the same way that like, you know, Lennon lifts the line, you know, for Come Together.
Yep.
But the song